Well, hello again, fellow crafters. This is DM Blairwolf, and this video is going to be on some miniatures that I've painted. Now, I'm always showing off minis that I buy that are pre-painted, but from time to time, I find a cool mini or find an item that you can't get anywhere else, and it needs to be painted. So, two things here. One, when I paint a mini, I always leave the base white on the bottom. I guess that's my way of saying I painted it, I guess. I don't know. Such as this one. Maybe it's to add legitimacy. Hey, I painted that. You can flip it over and see it's got a white base. Or two, I always try to paint with as much detail as I possibly can with what I'm painting. And I'll show you what I mean here. Let me get some light on the situation. There we go. That's a little better. That's more natural. And when I say detail, I mean like, we'll start with this guy here. If you see, each of his individual pouches, strands, are painted. You can see his belt there. It's brown, and his pouch. And then the frill like stuff on his cape, and how it's like two-toned. So you can tell that he's, that he's got a lot of detail, compared to, most of the minis I see just when you purchase them. Sometimes they just don't have a lot of detail. So I try to bring a lot of that out in my minis when I paint them, such as this well here. I tried to make sure that not only that, but that the water inside had a little bit of water effect, so that it would look wet in there. When you walk up to it, it looks wet. And that the individual cracks and so forth and golden, highlights were brought out in the painting of it as well. I'm not too sure what this thing is on the front. I don't know if that's some sort of a crescent there or crowny. I'm not sure what that is. But I made sure that like this stuff was all looked like it was popping, I guess is the word. With the Innkeeper, I made sure that like he was well painted to the fashion of being like kind of old and rustic looking as a Innkeeper would look. His apron is leathery and brown and worn. You can see his hairline real well. And the detail like all the way down to him polishing the inside of the cup. Here's one of my favorites to paint was this Overladen Gentleman. He just has everything. I mean, if you look at him real close, he has axes, quivers, bedrolls, canteens, frying pan, lantern, books. Yeah, I think that's some sort of knapsack and pickaxe, water bladder. And he himself is very well detailed. I mean, making sure that I painted, his shirt the whole way around, even throughout all this Had to follow his body line. The arrows are individually painted. He's got if you notice, he's got a dagger in his boot there. Stands out really well. And his leather cap. Also the bar wench. She didn't come, like, her outfit doesn't naturally have frills on the outer edges, but I sort of painted them in a way that it would look like she did. You see there? The light blue on the dark blue dress. And then her beers that she's carrying, the ale, I made sure that the foam that was coming over the edges of the mugs were white and frothy looking, and that her white dress gown top there followed the whole way around with her dark hair. She was one of my most difficult ones to paint, because trying to get into those little spots and get those little beer mugs without running the paint over. There's a lot of touching up to go around, and making sure the apron was, pockets showed up even after you painted it. And then this is a Minotaur I painted. Now there's a lot of detail on this Minotaur. I mean, he's got a sash and a belt buckle and a red pouch, and he's got these little golden rings around his arms and individual golden rings around his horns and his hair or mane. His muscle tone, I had to make sure that his muscle tone was well pronounced so he looked big and badass. His leather gauntlet. And then his hooves. I made sure his hooves were painted individual so that you could see them and know that they were hooves and not feet. The hair in the back of his legs there is darker. Now, this character here, his name is Diabolus, and he hates the color red. So it's really funny that, like, he's got a red sash and a bright red pouch. But, sometimes you can only get things in whatever color's available at the merchant, so you kind of gotta deal with it. He has a golden gauntlet here. And then his axe. Now, I have this stuff called Blood for the Blood Gods that I got from Citadel Paints. I haven't put it on here yet, but this is just regular red paint that I mixed with a little bit of brown to make it sort of look like dry blood on the blades of the axe and the machete there. One of the hardest parts of painting this miniature was the face. Like getting the teeth and snout and the hair on top of his head to have detail. This miniature he had, I actually added a feature to him. I don't know if you can see it too well. Right there. It's actually supposed to be half of a shuriken that another member in the party had thrown at one time across the room, and he just happened to get in the way, and a shuriken hit him in the horn. And so it was such a, like, event at the table that I actually went and made a little shuriken out of green stuff and then added it to him just so he would have that little bit of individuality that went with the game and the campaign that we were playing. And the next time everybody came to the table, I didn't make mention of it. I just kind of left him, and because it was much better pronounced and well done at the time, that people realized it and were like, wow, look, that's really there. Now, over time, he's been stored and put away and stuff that he, it's worn off. But these are just a few of the minis that I painted myself. I've done some rats and some ghouls and some skeletons and stuff, and I could have put those in this video, but I wanted to just showcase the creature and the characters and stuff, so that the video would be more pleasing to watch instead of just a bunch of, oh, I painted this and I painted that. I could just kind of point out certain aspects of each miniature and what I enjoyed most, or what I like best about them, or the parts that were the most difficult to paint. So, you know, if you buy minis and you paint them, you know, show them off. Post a link, and I'll check it out. You know, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of my handiwork. I was going to show some of the miniatures, or not miniatures, paintbrushes that I used and stuff. But I mean, we're all mini guys, people here. I mean, I'm sure you know what paintbrushes I use to paint these, and fine tipped, you know, and so forth. So until next time, guys, be creative. Be like the Shriken on the horn there. Be individual. If something happens in your game and it causes a character to have burnt, singed look on his shirt in a certain spot, you know, don't be afraid to get out a marker and smudge it up, or add that kind of feature to the miniature so that he shows a history. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure I showed this one off in this video, was there's some history to this guy, and that, you know, certain things that happen in the game that cause impactful things to happen to the miniatures. You know, get out your brush after the game and add it to them, or what have you. Make some details out of green stuff and add them, and therefore the miniature will grow with the game. I mean, I guess if this guy would have ever picked up specific weapons or what have you, I may have made them out of green stuff and then added them to his belt, or if he'd had another pouch or something. I mean, it doesn't hurt to add that history to the miniatures. That's what makes this all worth playing and doing, and worth the time it takes to paint them. So next time, guys and girls, because I know there's some miniature painting girl out there. Till next time, I appreciate your time and watching the videos, and I truly, truly, truly appreciate your feedback. Until next time, thank you.